It's Friday, July 26th. I'm Adam Walsh, and this is The Signal. It's a summer eats and drinks show, folks. We're going to speak to restaurateurs from across the province, plus we got a wine guy, and we're going to talk about savoring some summer seasoning here on the show, and I'm asking, what's on your menu? Let's talk about it. It's just such a great time of year to eat, right? To enjoy the flavors of life. Like there's stuff growing. I think the chanterelles are in. There's stuff that we're taking out of the ocean, the plants, the tomatoes. It's like that sweet spot for tomatoes. So ahead in the hour, we've got a check-in in Corner Brook, one in Happy Valley Goose Bay. And for you who are listening, I'd love to know what is on your summer menu. So text us 709-327-8206. Email us, thesignal@cbc.ca. I've got some guests here in studio. Jennifer Laplage, owner of Pure and Simple in Paradise, BB's Bistro on Water Street. How you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
BB's Bistro on Water Street, not open yet. When's it opening?
Next week.
Next week?
Next week.
Wow. How are you feeling about that?
Excited. Very excited.
All right, we're going to get some details now in a second. We've got Gabe Roberge here as well, co-owner chef at Nam Jim. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. Thanks. And how's everything?
Yeah.
I've been seeing you out and about on social media a lot.
Yeah. We've been taking on a lot more that side of the cooking business recently. I don't know. I just feel like we kind of had this realization last year of like this is the only way forward, really, especially in food and drink these days. It's just I don't know. I feel like everyone's doing it. You got to do it. Keep that business moving. Tell people we exist. Somehow.
What's the Instagram handle?
Namjim.nl.
Namjim.nl.
Yeah, we're on TikTok too now.
And on TikTok. Yeah. Doing all the stuff.
I don't know how it works, but, our social media guy posts it and I put my thumbs up.
Hey, there you go. And the last time you were here, Clayton B. Smith, we were talking about your book. Yeah. Seal of Salvage.
A little different context now.
And today we're talking about wine.
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand, writing and drinking. Yeah, exactly.
Tell us a bit about, wine, right? How'd you get into wine?
I started bartending when I was like 19, as soon as I could, and then started talking to one of the wine suppliers at the bar I was working in, and just kind of fell in love with it from there. Got to learn more about it and work my way through it for, the last almost 15 years now. So
okay, excellent. So, we'll get some wine tips from you and some drink tips throughout the show. Summer eating and drinking. What is it like? What's the special bits of summer eating and drinking for you folks, Jennifer?
Oh my goodness! Outside, in the garden with a glass of rosé, and whatever is fresh. Yeah. Great tomatoes. Great tomatoes. Simple. Just like the simplest product, the better it is. Yeah.
Gabe.
I mean, this is just obviously the best time of year, especially, I feel like in Newfoundland, especially, we have this it's a lot more like primitive, just like need for good produce because we get it like so few months of the year, It's just like we had these like 2 months really of like nice weather where like things can actually grow and you're not just reaching into your pantry and freezer, which is nice, It's like a special time. And I feel like too, we just like Newfoundland especially just has like, it provides so much, and we have like so many amazing things that grow here for these like 2 months, and you can just like, I don't know, it's really incredible what you get to work with.
Yeah, I feel like we spend all the winter trying to make like the same potato taste a little bit better, and then suddenly summer comes and we can, like as Jennifer said, like you can use simple ingredients and then like actually just have something natural there, and it already tastes good.
It's almost overwhelming sometimes, just like how much you like. All of a sudden, it's like July, and you're like, oh my god, I have the coolest stuff in the world to cook with right now, and I've spent the last 6 months cooking, potatoes.
Turnips.
It makes it stressful, right? There's eating and like enjoyment I need to get to, and I haven't gotten to it yet. I haven't had this dish or that or whatever else, because it's all there, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's back to like, what year is this from in my freezer?
Yeah,
it's like a freezer burn. In my home, we only have like the fridge freezer, not like a deep freeze too. So, tell us about Nam Jim.
So it started as a pop-up. Me and my business partner Ian, we met like, oh my god, like almost 5 years ago now. Jeez. We met at, I was working at Terra Restaurant. Yep. We met there. We both ended up, everything got shut down again for COVID. Both of us were at work. Just decided to kind of do, it was going to really just be a one-off, to be honest. We had no intentions of making this a thing, but just started, cooking and doing random pop-ups around the city. For the first year, that was like that was our business, was just like every week in some different restaurant cooking. And then, ended up getting the amazing opportunity to be permanent at Bannerman. I guess that's all, 3 years ago now? 3 or 4? 4? 3.
I want to say it was 3 years ago. That was like...
I have no idea.
I love you asking Clay. You're like, I'm the...
He knows more than I do.
I was the general manager at Bannerman when they went in place. So we did that together.
Yeah, we did do it
It feels like a lifetime ago
It
now,
really
but I
does,
think it was only like 3
it's
years.
almost 3 years ago, So we've been there full time. We've got a full crew there now. It's awesome. It's incredible what it's evolved into. This kind of beast of a operation. Yeah.
And Thai inspired, right?
Yeah, so Ian lived in Thailand for about 5 years. So that's where the kind of initial idea came from. I worked for, in a couple different like Thai restaurants and stuff. So I think it was just like food that both of us were just really passionate about and just stoked on eating. I think we really just wanted to make food that we wanted to eat ourselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It made sense, and it was also just like time and place. It was everything just made sense to do. I don't know. Yeah.
So then for Thai food, if there's folks who haven't had it before, what would your description be on Thai food? And I know there's a giant range, obviously, right? But
totally. 100%. Yeah, region to region, there's like it changes so much. But in general, it's really, and I think why it works so well here too, especially in the summer, it's like its core is like fresh.
Yeah,
freshness, like bright flavors, sharp flavors. You're not getting any like mild, gentle sauce or anything. It's going to be like
in your face.
It's going to be punchy. Yeah, exactly. And like that's what you want to be eating with a beer on a patio in Newfoundland, in beautiful summer's day. Just like spicy food, a lot of fresh herbs, a lot of like pork stuff, like fresh, I don't know, stuff like that. Yeah, fish sauce, a lot of fish sauce and everything.
Some nice pork belly. You're talking my language.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, lime juice and everything.
When my wife and I were living in Tokyo, I was lucky enough to be able to go down to Bangkok for my 38th birthday, and it was just like an eating weekend that was just the best.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff too, because it's like you can eat it forever, but you're never gonna feel like gross from it because it's just like fresh vegetables, nice proteins. Like I don't know, it's just like it's not there's like still a lot of salt and sugar and stuff in this stuff, but it's definitely healthier than a lot of things you could be eating.
Even having a rice base instead of a potato base is nice.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just makes you feel better. I feel like I can eat a full meal of that and like still go on with my day. I don't have to like go to bed.
Yeah, I know exactly. Right?
Yeah.
Jennifer, what's BB's bringing on the French side of things?
I really hope that everyone sees the atmosphere that I'm trying to create. I really wanted to have that French vibe, like a French 1930s vibe, where you come in and you have a great glass of wine and you have once again, the simplest foods, right? I really want that type of feeling when you walk in.
What types of foods?
So we'll do like pastries in the morning, croissants, chocolatines, clafoutis. Raspberry tarts are in every French bakery. They have a thing for raspberries.
Yeah.
And then at lunch we're doing, we have like a green bean roasted potato salad. There's another one with chickpeas. Another one is with like mixed green spice nuts. And then open-faced sourdough tartines.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So, yeah. And then the evenings is mostly shareables, so like prosciutto and melon. There's roasted carrots. When I lived in France, the biggest thing was you went to the market.
Yeah.
And you picked up, your ingredients, and then you'd add a little bit from what you had in your pantry. But it was always the simplest. That was the best. And everyone just had a great time around the table at the apéro.
Where are we? So my first experience with like a farmer's market was not in Newfoundland. It was when I was years ago. I was in the reserves, and each summer or like late spring, I would go to Vancouver Island with the Navy. And this was my first, and so like I'm, 19, 20 years old. And one of my, Canadian type friends from the mainland was like, we're going to go to a farmer's market. I'm like, what's that? And I went and I was just like, my mind was blown, right? Because you're getting back then BC produce, middle of the summer. It was just like, I was in love with it. How are we doing progress? I mean, farmers markets here and across the province. There's a lot of great stuff that's been popping up over the last few years, especially. How are you folks finding it for this, the evolution of food culture for Newfoundland and Labrador for your experiences?
I'm seeing like a big increase in like foraged goods in Newfoundland lately. Like the last 5 years, like you have people teaching courses on foraging and like really embracing things. They're like just here that, I mean, I grew up in Newfoundland and I'm now eating things I never knew were edible.
Yeah, and we're surrounded by folks like Sean Dawson and others.
Yeah, and Alex Shaw.
Yeah, I mean, I would see chanterelles growing up, but did not eat them. And I just cooked some last week, and I was like, this is great. Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've only been here 4 years on the island. But, I mean, honestly, even in that time, I feel like I've seen an evolution. Just like, even just with the farms, what they're growing, I feel like it's cool, like the relationship they have now with restaurants downtown or anywhere, really. Just like working with these chefs and stuff and like growing like vegetables more specific to their menus and stuff. I feel like, I don't know, we have a few places now that are growing like these cool new herbs and stuff and new vegetables that like they haven't before. Because we were like, give it a go, we'll buy it all if you grow it.
Yeah, you can get microgreens here now.
And there's like these, I don't know, we have a guy growing like holy basil, which is this like specific variety of basil that like you can only usually get in like Southeast Asia. And it's like never been grown here before, but he's like, he's growing it for us now. It's so awesome. Cool, and it's like, I don't know, it's cool that relationship that I see like kind of evolving now between chefs, restaurants, and, the local farmers and foragers. It's cool.
So where were you living before here?
I'm from Ottawa originally,
nice. Right.
Yeah, moved here 4 or 5 years ago now.
Right, excellent. And so like business setup, you're enjoying it?
Oh my God, yeah. It's been great. It's been a really good run. Just like overwhelming in like the amazing things that we've been given, the opportunities we've been given and stuff. But just being able to work with these awesome farms and producers and foragers and stuff. And it really is. I mean, it's pretty incredible what is available here and like what grows here is just wild. That like is like delicious and edible. Like, and I mean, there's obviously that's the case anywhere, but I don't know. There's just like a cool sense of place here with our connection to food, and like what's edible and like what like people are living off the land.
Jennifer, was it 20 years in France?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, so almost 2 decades in France.
Yes.
And home 8 years roughly.
Yes.
What was the transition like kind of just on the food culture scene from getting used to being back here and then seeing what's happened over the last 8 years for you?
It was definitely a culture shock, even though, you'd come home for vacation and things like that, but living and then all of a sudden realizing that even the produce was not as fresh as what I was used to, and the mentality. I think the mentality was the biggest thing. Running from point A to point B and driving through a takeout and walking with a coffee. You would never see a French person walk with a coffee. It's all about sitting down, enjoying that time, right?
Yeah.
So I can see the difference, I think, mostly from the consumers. People want fresher products. People want, to try something different, and more people are going back to a simpler lifestyle. Even like we've seen the tiny houses starting here, right?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's amazing, right? We've had those types of things in Europe for a very long time. And just going to get your groceries, normally you should be able to walk with 2 bags. You shouldn't need to have to fill up your whole trunk full of packaged processed food.
Yeah, and it should, sometimes you drive a couple hours to go to a big grocery store type place that can get you for a couple of months worth of things, and then you drive back out the highway because that's just how it has to work sometimes. But in other places, it is not like that. I think people can read between the lines of what I was saying there.
Yeah.
But, yes.
Yeah. No, I think that consumers have really brought the change into the market. And, a lot of time these consumers now are the ones that are foraging because they couldn't find what they wanted. And it's really interesting to see what we're going to be able to do. I would love to have more contacts for people that are growing different type of, different types of products that are available in Newfoundland, and then understanding too the cycle, because the cycle is a big thing in the restaurant business, right? When is it available? How often can I get it? What are your quantities? It takes a lot of extra work to do that than just go in on your computer and place your order and have it delivered.
Yeah, well, there are places where people get excited in the spring about like asparagus coming into season. You know, it's like, oh, it's seasonal. This is like, so it's not all year round, but this is fresh. It is here now. We can enjoy it and then look forward to what comes next, right?
Exactly.
Which I think it takes a little bit to, it's just different culture, right, to get used to it. But it is, and we talk about it a lot on this show, right? We talk to folks about, like, there's a food security conversation for this province. There are people growing stuff across the province. I've had guests on like Dan Rubin from the Food Producers Forum talking about just trying to figure out who's growing what, where is it, and how can other folks get access to it. So it's a conversation that I really enjoy, because I think there's more connection to food that is kind of happening now. As opposed to like when I grew up in especially like the 80s and the 90s in Newfoundland, and we're going back to some stuff from the past. Talk to me about wine.
Wine, I guess, I think that Jennifer's point on like consumer demand is like really key there with wine as well. We've had like a more diverse customer base now with wine consumption. Well, like, we were selling just a lot of Australian and like I guess kind of Napa Valley things. Really classic French is all that you really saw here, but now we are seeing a huge like influx of natural wines and things along those lines.
Yeah, so I got into that when I was living in Tokyo in like 2015 up to 2019, because that was the big thing then. You go into restaurants, you pick out, and I really enjoyed the experience, because like each bottle could be a little bit different. They could be alive or whatever else. And then we came back and I was like, oh, there's nothing here right now. So it's finally kind of...
It is coming, yeah.
Okay.
It's still like dribs and drabs. Like, you know, there's not a lot of things that are always available, but we're getting it through. Like, there's a few like Canadian wineries even that are doing natural wines that the NLC is progressively embracing, as we have the consumers that want them, you know, like that kind of low intervention, no additives, like, you know, nothing taken away, just like, you know, raw wine.
Yeah, because people often do like, well, what do you mean by natural? Isn't wine natural?
I mean,
well, it's not natural. But...
Yeah, natural is like, it's one of those really like moving definitions, right? Like, that's depending on who you ask, you can get a different answer, but like realistically, you can boil it down to nothing added, nothing taken away. And there's different degrees of that. People talk a lot about like having no sulfites added. Spontaneous or wild fermentation is another big thing that kind of like identifies natural wine, but I don't think it technically is a requirement. Like, there's no like, there's RAW, which is like a program that does identify natural wines, but they're not really the authority on it. They're the closest thing we have to. There is really no authority on natural wine. Just normally it's just things that have less, it's no sugars has been added. They tend to come across more acidic. They tend to be like, wild fermented.
Yeah, and it's it's not like with Neapolitan pizza or whatever, where it's like, no, you had to follow all these strict things. Like, there's a range.
Yeah,
right? Because there's also organic wine that kind of fits in there too.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, like most natural wines are organic, just by the nature of it. Biodynamic is another big thing that's coming in. Yeah, biodynamic just meaning that its vineyards are being more environmentally conscious. Just like realizing that they have such an impact on everything around them, and so trying to make the vineyards that actually can work in relation to the settings that they're in and not kind of damage them, you know. So we're seeing that a lot globally, especially like countries like Spain, Argentina. Like they're really putting a big push on making sure that like irrigation is not going to be damaging like the greater wildlife around the area and things like that, which is like fundamental. Like, the only way for wine to move forward into the modern age is to get more aware of its impact on the environment around it, you know. So we're seeing that awareness come across a lot now.
So what's the summer wine or wines that you're kind of dipping into?
See, like, I used to always be just like hardcore whites in the summer and reds in the winter, right? But now it's moved to that. Now I've found like I'm drinking a lot of chilled reds in the summer. You know, like a Gamay on ice is like it's a beautiful little treat.
Now some people will be like, what, chilled red? What are you talking about? Yeah,
so like natural wines are actually a great way to do it, because they don't have these because they tend to be more acidic, and they don't have the additional sugars and things like that. They're not as heavy. They chill very well most often. Therianthropy is a great a winery based out of Ontario. The owner, Mark Cuff, is actually here from Newfoundland, and they do most of their wines can be very well enjoyed chilled, because they don't have these additives in them. They just kind of like, they have this like sharp crispness to them that you want to enjoy on a patio, you know. Yeah, and so that's I would recommend something in that direction. Also, like most Gamays, lighter red wine grapes can easily be consumed chilled, and as Jennifer said at the very beginning, rosé is always a summer treat, you know.
There you go. You are listening to The Signal. It is our summer eats and drinks show. What's on your summer menu? What are you eating or drinking, or what's something you really enjoy summertime for on the food side of things? You can email us, thesignal@cbc.ca, or text us. The text line is open, 709-327-8206. You were just listening to Clay Smith, a wine expert here in studio. We've got Gabe Roberge here, Nam Jim co-owner and chef, and Jennifer Laplage, who's the owner of Pure and Simple in Paradise, also about to open next week, BB's Bistro on Water Street. I promised at the beginning of the show we would do a check-in with Corner Brook. Not all of Corner Brook, but specifically Park West in Corner Brook. Adam Bishop, the owner's on the line. How you doing?
Hi, Adam. How are you today?
Goodbye. Good. Great name, Adam.
I know. I love your name as well.
Thank you. This is so great. I think we're connecting here. What's on the summer menu at Park West?
Okay, so we've just released actually a new drink menu and a new food menu. So we've added a new selection of oysters on our menu, showcasing oysters from Newfoundland, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, which have gone obviously super, super well, because not a lot of people were offering oysters on the West Coast.
No.
We've also just added a beautiful watermelon and tomato salad with stracciatelle cheese with watermelon vinaigrette. That's been doing super, super well. It's an absolutely beautiful summer dish on these hot days we've been having on the West Coast.
Love it. So oysters, You've got the summer dish. Is it 1 year anniversary for you guys?
It's coming up, actually, the August 16th and August 17th weekend.
So what's the first year been like for operating?
It's been crazy, to say the least. We opened a restaurant in a very unconventional way. We bought a space, demoed the interior, then left the interior demoed, built a patio, a 1,600 square foot patio on the backside of the restaurant, operated that for 3 months during the late summer and fall of the year of last year, then went back inside, rebuilt the inside, and opened the indoor inside for December 1st.
Wow. All right. Right on. And 1,600 square feet for the patio. That's
we have one of the largest, I believe, outside patio in Western Newfoundland for sure, on the backside of our restaurant. It's beautiful.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
For you, eating, what do you enjoy about summer, eating and cooking?
You know what? I lived away from Newfoundland for 18 years. I left when I was 18 and came back much later, just post-COVID. And I just love eating outdoors. And it's such a treat in the West Coast with the weather we've been having to eat outdoors. So I like light, summery food. So we've also added on a beautiful lamb dish to match that sort of environment. Rack of lamb marinated in gremolata, then served with fennel orange and arugula salad dressed in yogurt vinaigrette, finished with mint oil. So that's been a beautiful summer addition to the patio.
Wow. And for produce, like West Coast wise, how are you finding it for getting everything you want summertime?
Honestly, it's good. Just recently, we've started purchasing from local farmers as we're just getting the vegetables out of the soil, and then we also use larger suppliers like Cisco and AGD, and then I shop locally to Coleman's, Sobeys, and Dominion when required. So it's actually not been that bad, but I spend a lot of time hopping in the car picking up product.
There you go. Adam, thanks for this. I appreciate you coming onto the show with a little summer update, and good luck now for the 1 year anniversary and year 2.
Thank you very much. And we have two great bands playing on the August anniversary. Casey Callahan's band on the 16th, and then Deep Pocket on the 17th. It's going to be a great show and lots of food and drinks to be had. Awesome.
Cheers.
Have a great day. Cheers.
Adam Bishop there, owner of Park West Restaurant in Corner Brook, right? So, summer food and drink. Any thoughts on just what Adam's saying? Just for the thoughts on summer cooking, eating, drinking, everything else? Jennifer?
No, I go back once again to like the simple things and the fresh. And this is what I believe summer brings out, right? That's what we enjoy.
Culture-wise, explain a bit more about the French culture for eating and drinking and what you want to be bringing with BB's for next week.
The French culture is very much about sharing. They spend a lot of time around the table, probably not as much as the Spanish, but definitely hours around the table. And it's just usually, it's either one big dish that everybody scoops out of, or it's all these little dishes that just show up over and over and over again. And it's just a great time. My best memories in France are always around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy so if you go to, like, for example, Portage and St. John's, but also for Nam Jim, like you guys have the big plate that you do with everything on it that you can share. Like, I enjoy sharing, and like any time of year, but especially, I don't know, summertime, you've got stuff that you can just kind of sit down, like you said, whether it's rosé or whatever else, and kind of share together, right? Like growing up and having just an individual plate, and then seeing what else was available, and being like, well, I think this. I really kind of like this. Right? What about you guys when it comes to sharing?
I think that we associate that with summer so much too, because like picnic tables don't have individual seats. We're automatically all on a bench seat eating together. It's like anyone growing up with a barbecue. It's like, it's usually things are just handed off and passed along. So I think that's why this like sharing dishes comes so much to mind in the summertime. It's like that's how we're oriented. It's like Adam talking about having that massive outdoor space. The West Coast weather is definitely a little better than here, but we still try our best here, and it does really facilitate exactly the food you guys are talking about, the food you guys are offering. Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, talking about sharing plates, like that's my favorite way to eat.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not one to have a coursed out single plate per person kind of situation. I think
with no ingredients, nothing touching, like everything on a plate. Yeah, no.
I feel like that's how most of the world eats too, except for like the Western Western countries, because it's just like that's how you eat. You like have a big plate or a big table of food. Everyone's sharing. Everyone's eating off the same plates. I don't know. People are weird about it here. I find not everyone.
No,
it's coming around, but I think it's something that some people are just not used to, and like not. It's a weird foreign kind of idea and concept to like be sharing these plates and stuff with six other people.
I think there's something that makes it more like approachable as well. Like when you're sharing, it's like you're not worried about like the plating of it and how like this dish is being presented. It's more authentic. It's just
more
like
fun. It's more fun too. It's not. I don't know. It's just I find it's food taking itself less seriously.
Yeah.
Which is like I don't know. I'm all about that. I don't think anything should be too fancy or too like.
Yeah, we just want to taste
too
good and to
pretentious.
have fun together. Yeah,
big plates of food. Everyone's sharing. Everyone's eating. Everyone's having a good time.
I like the connection about it, right? Because if you're eating something just by yourself, like I ordered whatever, like the steak, and you ordered the chicken, and it's like, oh, how's the chicken? Oh, the chicken's fine. Okay, how's the steak? Oh, the steak's fine. But as opposed to like, hey, try this. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Mm-hmm. That's what I like about it, right? Like it was 2004 when I moved to teach English in South Korea, and like just. That's like you go sit down for Korean barbecue or any other number of things that you're going to eat there. It's everyone sitting down cheering the same stuff, and it just makes the connection of it is what has always kind of done it for me.
It gets people to engage with each other instead of being so focused on your own little dish. You're automatically engaging. You're reaching across someone. You're grabbing something. You're starting another conversation, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and if I see that you're enjoying something, or if I'm enjoying it, I'm like, oh my gosh, did you just try that? You're like, yes.
That was so good. I'm going to...
It is good, yeah.
I'm going to grab a bit of that, right? And then you're like, oh, this is delicious, and you're passing the plate down, and it just engages people. And all of that is what I think what we'll all try and bring together is for people to have a good time and create great memories.
I did a show at the beginning of the week about... sober curious folks on the non-alcoholic side.
Yeah.
For virgin drinks and mocktails and stuff.
I mean, like summer's kind of like the prime time for all of that. There's so many flavors that you can embrace, like all those citrus flavors that are there and available that like can just be embraced in simple soda waters and so, like things like that. The classic Italian soda and the syrups added just to baseline fresh water and sparkling water. Like I feel like mocktails did this wonderful little boom where everyone got really excited about them, but then they overcomplicated them. And then it just became something that like became inaccessible at home, and suddenly it's like, oh, you had to go out to get what is essentially just like a combination of juices and things put together that can be done at home, So I think that's like nice, like for non-alcoholic to remember that like some of the same syrups that you're getting, like your rosemary simple syrup and stuff, you can use that without adding alcohol. Like that's still going to taste lovely. It's still going to have like use your lemon juice, have all those things at home, but there is also like products that are like packaged and stuff as well. There's lots of good non-alcoholic beers in the market that's been really blowing up the last few years. Some local producers making them now as well. Like I know Boomstick is canning a non-alcoholic beer, which is one of the first craft breweries to do that here in Newfoundland.
Right on.
So that's brilliant to see. And their wine market is getting better with it as well. There was a time when like wine that was like non-alcoholic was just essentially overpriced grape juice, but we're seeing now it's a de-alkalization process taking place.
Yeah.
And so then you actually have wine made as wine, and then it goes through a different process for de-alkalization. So you still have your tannin there. You still have like a more rounded wine itself. But it just doesn't have that alcohol content.
I mentioned on the show the other week, a friend of mine was over, doesn't drink, brought Guinness Zero, and I was really surprised with it. I was like, oh, because back, again, growing up, once I was of drinking age, but growing up in my early 20s, some of the non-alcoholic beers at the time, not great. And now, though, things like you said, things are changing, right? So the menu is, especially summertime, when you do, like you said, you want to be out, like sipping, like whatever, whether there's alcohol in it or not, all there for socializing.
Yeah, it's consumer driven, like we're talking about. Like there's more people drinking a little more consciously, or like being aware of how much they're consuming, and that's made an extra drive for these non-alcoholic products. They still want to sit out with their friends and enjoy that patio meal that everyone's sharing, but they just don't want to, not be able to go to work the next day.
Right, exactly. Let's go. I also said at the beginning of the show, I said we're going to check in with Corner Brook and also a restaurant in Happy Valley Goose Bay. We've got Andy Turnbull on from Mamatook. Andy, how you doing?
Good day. How are you?
Good. When did you guys open anyways? When was it?
We opened in January of this year.
January. How's everything going?
It's going well. It's been a very busy summer. It's always interesting to open a restaurant in the wintertime, so that kind of came with its own set of challenges, but great to be into our first summer season and into really full operation with our patio and full restaurant operating.
What's on the menu for this summer season at Mamatook?
Oh, we have a great new summer menu coming out next week, actually. So we do plan to change up our menu seasonally. Great new menu happening next week. We're going to carry over some of the super popular items from the winter, things like our braised short rib, our warm crab dip, some of the local favorites, I guess. But adding a lot new variety as well. A great summer salad selection, like our beet and goat cheese salad with Labrador blueberry dressing. Watermelon feta salad with partridge berry balsamic glaze, for example. We're adding a new sushi section. We had one sushi roll on our winter menu. Got a lot of great feedback on that. It was a Labrador shrimp roll. So we're adding a new section now on sushi. And a lot of great seafood options, pan-fried cod, for example, seafood linguine. And one of my favorite dishes is the smoked Labrador Arctic char poke bowl.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's something I would be very interested in trying. Like when it comes to sourcing local stuff, what's the scene like for in and around Happy Valley Goose Bay for getting your hands on Arctic char and other bits?
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
We certainly have a limited amount of local ingredients, but we've been doing a lot to work with local suppliers and encourage more local supply. For example, this year, we have some farmers that are growing product for us now to get us through the next year, where we weren't in that place opening in January. Obviously, we didn't have that ability to have as much product grown locally. But that's a core of the restaurant, so we want to do everything we can to bring more local supply. All of our seafood, for example, is coming from Labrador with the Labrador Fish and Junior Shrimp Company, most of the product coming from there, from the coast of Labrador. Working with the farmers, working with local berry pickers. Berries is a huge part of our menu, and we've been consuming an incredible amount of bake apples, partridge berries, blueberries, and blackberries or crowberries. But yeah, tons of local supply, but also provincial supply. So things like cheese from Cormac Cheese Co. or Newfoundland sea salt, and then on the alcohol side as well, working with local breweries and distilleries like Iron Rock, Wooden Walls, great companies here in Newfoundland and Labrador that really add a great flavor and a great diversity to our menu.
And what's something you're cooking at home personally for summer eats?
At home would be barbecue. Yeah, summer's all about the barbecue. But also seafood, and cooking seafood outside. It's great to be able to cook seafood outside during the summer.
Awesome. Good luck with everything. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And if you're ever in Labrador, we'd love to have you drop by.
Oh, look, if we can, so we timing-wise, the show was in Happy Valley Goose Bay in November, so that did not work out. But the next time we're in town, yeah, it sounds like a plan. So thanks again.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Andy Turnbull there of Mamatook, Happy Valley Goose Bay. Yeah, the Arctic char bit poke bowl. I'm really curious about that. That sounds great. When it comes to designing menus, like how do you sit down and figure out like, here's what we want to put on a menu when you look at what can be sourced here and everything else. Jennifer, like, your spot's opening next week. How did you sit down and be like, this is what I want?
Oh my, it was quite complicated.
Yeah.
To also trying to open and then when we're going to be open and what's going to be available. And starting off, when I opened Pure and Simple, that's a franchise, but it's pretty big. So I really wanted to start with a very limited menu, and what we're putting out is going to be really good, or it's not going to go out, and to keep things very limited and then to overlap the products a little bit. So to make sure that we have the quantities that we need, and then just using fresh products like what we can find and simple ingredients. So a lot of fruits and vegetables will be on our menu.
Gabe, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, menu, coming up with stuff like that, that's definitely my favorite part of the job.
Okay, cool.
It's just exciting, and I don't know, I feel like as a chef, that's really kind of what you get into it for.
Yeah, if you're not into that, you maybe shouldn't be a chef.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, really. And I mean, I think with us too, we don't necessarily have like a summer menu or a winter menu or whatever. We'll just kind of, I mean, we're changing up the menu almost every week.
Yeah,
I'd say.
because you had like a green bean thing there. It was only for like a couple of weeks, then it was gone.
And we'll never plan anything really, to be honest. We just really dictate the menu based on what's available, and we just let the province tell us what we're going to serve. So we have these amazing tomatoes right now. So we have a tomato dish.
What's the tomato dish?
It's just really beautiful Lester's Farm tomatoes. We only get a few weeks of really good tomatoes here, so we're really highlighting those. And we just dress them simply with it's a sauce called Nem Jim Jaw, which is just fish sauce, lime juice, sugar, bit of dried chilies. There's some toasted rice, crispy rice, bit of basil. Super simple, but just like really highlighting just like the nicest tomato.
Cool.
And we just that's how we go about anything really on the menu. We're like, what do we got right now? What do the farms have? What's fun and exciting?
Tell folks what you did with snow crab earlier this year.
Yeah, I mean, we did a few things with crab. Well, I feel like during crab season we'll usually rotate a few different dishes. Yeah. But we did a crab dip, which was kind of like a bunch of green chilies, cilantro, potatoes, some really nice Fogo Island crab. We were getting the Fogo Island stuff for a while. Then we started when crab season opened up here. We were starting to get that. Yeah, we did a crab pad thai. We did a fried rice for a while. Just kind of like switching things up whenever we can, because I feel like both Ian and I just get bored pretty easily with stuff, So we're like, all right, let's keep it moving. Like, what are we doing next? What can we change? Keep things exciting for everyone, for the diners, for the staff. It's just more exciting.
What's the connection? So when you put food out, whether it eats or drinks, but when you're talking to someone about something like a dish, like, okay, we just did, crab pad thai, or here's like, a chilled red that I want you to try. What's the connection like with folks when you see that they enjoy it, or that it's something that is really registering around what you're talking about, or just for their enjoyment with the dish?
I think that's why we do this,
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
It's trying to create something or offer someone something that like you can see it in their eyes how much they weren't expecting it, like the flavors they're not anticipating, or how much it was better than they had anticipated. That's why we all are at this kind of stuff, is to try and create that sensation. It's how I guess we often feel about our food and our drinks, and to try to bestow that upon someone else is like that's the name of the game. Yeah.
How hard is it? Sometimes getting if it's a little bit different, how hard is it then if we're talking like natural wine, or sometimes with some of the Thai food and also with some French food, if people haven't experienced it before, is there like to get folks, like delicious is delicious, but like to get folks to kind of be up to speed on what like is in a dish, or maybe it might be a little bit more adventurous for folks to try, like is there a bit of a process there?
A huge one. It's like in the wine industry, it's a turn of phrase you hear very frequently is liquid to lips. It's a whole process of getting someone to actually taste it. Like once you can get it to their lips, chances are they'll be converted to whatever strange thing you're trying to put their way. But it's getting to that point. So in restaurants, it's a lot easier because you can, like for wine at least, you can give them a small sample. They'll have a taste and they'll understand it. Selling it on like a bulk scale is a little bit more difficult to convince them. But I think that you guys do the same thing with your food dishes as well. Like if it's something really different, you'll offer it as an appetizer that people are going to share instead of committing to like a massive size of something,
The shareable dishes really help with that, because someone in the group will want to try it, and if they like it, the other person, even if they don't try it that time, they'll probably come back and they'll order it after. the shareable really helps everyone get a little taste of everything when you're not fully signed up to have a full dish, right?
Yeah. It's just, you might be a little curious. What is that? Well, let me try. I'll try. Just
Well,
try a
like even
spoonful.
duck, for example. Newfoundlanders and duck, you either love it or you hate it for whatever reason. Duck is delicious. Like it's absolutely divine. Foie gras or anything of like that. I would really like to start to bring some of that in, but you're going to have to do it in very small doses.
Duck is delicious.
Duck is delicious.
Like duck breast. Oh my
I
gosh.
think from like Outport, Newfoundland, we grew up like I ate duck growing up. I ate rabbit growing up, but it was prepared by my grandmother, who thought that everything had to be like boiled to death and so overcooked, and it took me many years after that to actually appreciate some of these flavors. Like the first time I'd had seal, for example, like at seal flipper pie, I was like, I will never do that again. Like it was done right away. But then years later, having it properly prepared, I was like, there's actually so much potential here, So I think that's an uphill battle with Newfoundland, is trying to show people the way that like some of these proteins can be prepared that isn't how Nan and Pop did it.
Yeah, there's a range, right? I mean, I grew up I loved mussel boil-ups when I was growing up. Like Dad would just kind of put the mussel and just salt, right? And it's just so good. Or like do squid rings. I go like my aunts and uncles sometimes it'd be like bottled rabbit. There's stuff that I just started to enjoy, and I think that was the basis for me to kind of really be curious about food as I started to travel and everything else. But even then, and I thought I was really open for food. Going to like Korea for the first time, there's things that I like in the beginning. There's this like naengmyeon. It's like an ice soup. And then when I first had it, I was like, no, sir, no way. I do not want that. This is not something that. But over the years, though, having lived there, and then my in-laws are there going back, my taste changed. Have you found that? Like, what if your so with wine, for example, like. There's the wine that I drank when I was 19, and there's a big difference with my appreciation now at 44. So what about like for yourself and taste?
Well, completely. Like, I mean, I think I started as many of us do. Like, there's like only either a sweet white or like a heavy-bodied red was like all I consumed, like in the initial years of drinking wine. But it's like there's a science behind that too. Palate exposure is actually what builds your palate. Like when someone says they have a good palate, it probably just means they were adventurous. Like they tried enough things. Yeah. It's not like something you're magically born with. It is something you have to train. So with food and wine, you just like keep trying new things. And if you don't like something, return to it. Keep trying it. That's like olives. Few people like olives in the beginning, but then after time, we do condition ourselves and then quite enjoy them.
Well, like I'm going to Korea in October. I can guarantee you I'll be having naengmyeon when I'm there. But if it was me in 2004, I'd be like, get that away from me. I do not like it. It tastes horrible. And it's wild how it just took years. But the part of it, I think for me, it's just wanting to be open. It's like if I'm somewhere and everyone's enjoying something and I don't like it, my question is why? And what, like, is this something in the back of my head, or do I, what is this? And sometimes that can actually change. How about food evolution? From growing up, was it Placentia, and then 20 years in France?
I grew up that cheese spread on your toast.
Yeah.
And I moved to France, and there was no such thing as a cheese spread.
No cheese whiz in France?
No cheese whiz. There was no cheese whiz.
I am shocked.
There was no cheese whiz. So, yeah. I literally ate very little, I'd say, for the first 6 months, because you go and you pick up your chicken and the chicken's there with his head on, and then the butcher will chop it. And the chickens were like, they were almost yellow, like they're not like here. So the fat content, your eggs, all the eggs were brown, and it's like culture shock, right? So
like a deep orange yolk, and you're like, what's going on with that? It's not like thin yellow. How is that possible?
I know. And now if I would go look for the eggs that still have a few feathers on them, right? You give them a little wash and they're good to go. But it was a big shock. And my in-laws were very much in the duck world and in the champagne world. And, foie gras, champagne was anytime we got together, at least twice a week, you had your foie gras, you had your pâtés.
That sounds horrible.
It was...
What a nightmare.
How did you do it?
It was, pieces of plain baguette and glasses of champagne to start off, until I actually, one day I decided I said, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to start to taste things. And it was all just like, everyone just give me a second. We're just going to, I got to eat something. So... And then all of us, there's just so many possibilities. Just, everything was almost cooked in duck fat. And the flavors that you get from, right?
Yeah.
And like you're literally just shaving it off. You got a piece and you put it in, and it's absolutely delicious. And so that's kind of the idea behind BB's, is to bring that. And I hope that it will expose other people to things that are available. I found a great vinegar basmati. One of my neighbors in Cognac, he actually makes it and he puts it in the cognac cubes. So it's left there for 5, 10, 15 years. And this vinegar basmati now is available in Canada.
Wow.
So I want to get some of that shipped in. And just all those little touches. And they're very much on the idea of waste not, want not.
Yeah.
And you use what you have and you use good ingredients and for the best experience.
So do you eat Cheese Whiz again now?
No.
Wow.
No.
So don't go to France for the cheese whiz.
Do not go
I just
to the
thought,
France
you're
food
back,
festival.
8 years, you might be back into the cheese spread.
I say there is some in my refrigerator
There we
that
go.
I probably should. Even my children don't.
Okay.
No, they don't have the cheese whiz in that.
All right.
But you did try it again when you got back. You had to see.
Oh my goodness!
See,
yeah.
there we go. Yeah,
Ketchup chips.
there you go.
It's like I still have an addiction to those, but I do like the simple things in life, the
Yeah.
simple good things. Yeah,
Simple taste, great memories around those tastes.
exactly.
Gabe, what about your food evolution when it comes to taste and flavor and everything? Like growing up in Ottawa, when did you start to say, hey, Thai food, this is, wow, look at this?
I mean, I think growing up, especially, we never really ate out a whole lot.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were going to a restaurant, it was for a birthday and it was a buffet.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was slim pickings. We were, cooking at home a lot. My mom cooked a lot growing up, so that's kind of where I got first excited about food. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was pretty. I didn't really know what was out there. I didn't even have an idea that there was other food or other stuff other than the stuffed peppers that we're having for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think starting out, like when I started, washing dishes at 16, I was just like, this was my first experience in a restaurant, really. And it was like going out to these places for the first times. I was like, oh my God, like what are these things? And even just texturally, I think is a big thing. Like texture is something that like really can throw people off and like really can be like a pretty like eye-opening moment. Like,
Yes, it
you know, especially kind of like we're going back to earlier, like in the Western world, I feel like there's a lot of food that people don't mess around with just based on the texture. So I think that was a big thing for me, and something that I really had to kind of like not push myself to do, but really just like I had to like spend some time eating a lot of these different things to really like understand what they're all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I ate and drank a lot of things out of politeness before I started to
Yeah.
actually
Yeah,
enjoy them.
totally.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
At a dinner party and someone puts it in front of you, I'm gonna consume it, but
Yeah.
I'm grimming and bearing. Like I'm just suffering through this the first 5 times, and then the 6th I'm asking for it.
I was at a magazine meeting when I was working in Seoul one time, and my boss was like, you have to eat this. And I was like, what's this? And it was a dish of like... it wasn't sea cucumber. It was the insides of the sea cucumber, and I was served on a tray. I was like, oh. And to me at the time, and I've not had it since. I've had sea cucumber since, which I eat, but like I've not had the guts of a sea cucumber since. And it reminded me of like orange juice and orange juice from concentrate, ocean from concentrate. So this was the ocean, and I was like, oh, but I just politely ate as much as I could and smiled and just kept going with it.
And it's a texture thing too, Because
there was a massive texture thing.
because
with
the
this, yeah,
flavor
massive.
itself is really just
was
oceany,
ocean, yeah. It
seafoody
was
flavors,
texture.
but
Stringy-
it doesn't,
stringy gooey.
It doesn't feel like cod in your mouth. It's something different.
Yeah. It, I don't know, like for Discovery, like I remember being younger and on the west coast of Canada, and I called it, because I did not know, right? So I called it minestrone soup. And they're like, oh, you mean minestrone? I'm like, how would I know this? I'm just reading it on the label there on the menu. So, but then you grow and you change, right? So what's on your menus this week? What are you cooking personally, or what's something that you're or a summer thing that you've done in the last couple of weeks?
I've been like plotting to have like a proper beach boil up for a while, but I just saw the fire ban just came back in. So now I'm like, back. Yeah, I just saw it.
It's here, it's gone. It's here, it's gone.
Yeah. So I've been like, optimistically endeavoring to just put some shellfish into a giant pot on the beach. But it's been been held off on it for now. But that was my intention for this weekend. But hey.
See, I grilled mackerel on the barbecue 2 nights ago, which was really
nice.
Yeah, fish on the barbecue, fantastic.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Barbecue, anything. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, and it's also vegetables, right? Like okra and little buk choy and stuff. Like all.
You got okra here?
Yes, man.
What?
Yes, there's okra.
Where's there okra?
I'll tell you after the show. It's a couple places. Yeah.
Cool.
And great because I really like it grilled, right? Like it's so nice for a summer type of a grill thing.
Yeah. I mean, grilled to me, just that flavor alone is summer.
Yeah.
I don't know. You can put anything on there. That's a summer dish.
Anything.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's what I'm cooking.
Anything. Everything.
Yeah. Throw it on a barbecue.
Anything and everything on the barbecue.
Yeah.
What have you been eating?
Oh my, I've kind of been scrambling. So
Oh yeah, you're a little busy opening up a restaurant next
busy.
week.
My daughter actually went and made eclairs yesterday. So that was kind of what was on chocolate eclairs. She made those.
Those are great.
Those are really good. So I'd say she's probably going to pump us out some cinnamon rolls and maybe a few tartelettes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows where to hit my sweet spot.
What's it to describe what a tartelette is?
Oh, a tartelette is just a small tart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little tart.
And sweet, savory, is there a range?
I prefer sweet,
Yeah.
but I mean, of course, savory is also in all of the French bakeries, right? Yeah, that's how they kind of present that.
So then what's your favorite type of tartelette then on the sweet side of things?
A raspberry tartelette.
Yeah,
A
back to the
raspberry
raspberries.
tartelette, yeah. And we're also going to do, like, I really like at the end of the day, too, to have something sweet with a glass of wine.
Yeah.
So we have, the desserts are going to be a big thing for us at BB's, right? Yeah. We're doing an il flottant. Do you know that? It's just a baked meringue, but it's a very soft and it's done like in a cream base. You literally, it slices through like butter. It's delicious.
Cool.
Yeah.
Il flottant.
An il flottant,
Il
a
flottant.
floating aisle.
Aisle, yeah. All
Yeah.
right. That sounds excellent. So what else is left to do before, what day is the big opening? Or if you're not, like if there's a wiggle room there, you don't have to say exactly, but it's next week at some point, people should be paying attention.
I think definitely we can be open for like a soft opening on Tuesday.
Yeah.
We'd like to do a grand opening on Thursday. And I mean, it's kickoff to George Street Fest too, so you want to get out there and have fun and stop by and see us.
All right, it's BB's Bistro on Water Street. What's the address?
331 Water Street.
331 Water Street. And Gabe, remind folks about NAM Gym.
Yeah, we're located at Bannerman Brewery, 90 Duckworth Street, St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada.
And then you might be popping up, making stuff in random spots like Signal Hill for social media.
Yeah, you might see us around getting kicked out of malls.
Did you actually get kicked out of that mall?
Oh my God, instantly.
Oh yeah,
Within seconds.
I wasn't sure how much of that was like
I knew we would. I knew we would, but
as a former reporter, I was like, yeah, no, that's exactly how that works.
yeah, I thought we'd like get a little farther, but no, it's within seconds. They were like, we know what you're doing.
It made for great content.
It was great.
Because it was real, yeah. So,
yeah.
Because you went into a mall and to set up for it, like cooking for a social media thing, but like the permission type is required, which not everyone knows. So then security. Was
I knew. I knew. But I mean, I think to be honest, at this point, our videos really have become a lot less about the food and more just about us putting ourselves through horrible situations for the world's enjoyment. And
remind folks where to find that.
Yeah, you can find us namgym.nl on Instagram, TikTok. I think that's it. That's all we're on.
Perfect. And Clay, final thoughts on drinks?
Try something new, guys. Embrace a natural wine. Go for that. And also, a key thing to remember in the summertime, we've had a nice summer. The weather's been really good. Chill your reds before you drink them. Any red, put it in the fridge 20 minutes before you drink it. Your wine is not supposed to be consumed at 25 degrees Celsius, guys. Like, bring it down. You will enjoy it more. Thank me later. Yeah.
Tip of the day. Thanks for that.
Cheers.
All right. And thank you all. So Clayton B. Smith there, Gabe Roberts, and Jennifer Laplage. Thanks for this conversation. And that's it for the show today, folks. on Friday, it's always hard to look ahead to Monday, but on Monday, this isn't going to be your parents' geography class. We will explore what geography is really about these days at university, researching big concepts like what is the extent of human impact on Earth. Just that small concept there. So that's Monday. We'll have some profs from London talking all about it. And Twillingate, Lewisport, you're on notice. The Signal will be in town next week for shows on Wednesday and Thursday. I'll talk about more details on Monday. But if you see us around, say hi. And I'm looking forward to bringing the show to town. Have a great weekend, folks. Bye.